Today in Bible videos, we're going to learn about the story of how Nehemiah rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. Are you ready to know how? So let's get started. Nehemiah worked as a trusted cupbearer to King Artaxerxes, who ruled over the mighty empire of the Medes and the Persians. Nehemiah was a Jew living in Susa. Many years ago, the Jews had been taken as captives by the Babylonians. When the Medes and the Persians defeated the Babylonians, many Jews like Nehemiah resettled in this new empire, and some Jews had returned to Jerusalem and rebuilt the temple. One day, Nehemiah was visited by Hanani, one of his brothers who lived in Jerusalem. Nehemiah asked them about the city and the Jews living there. They explained that the walls that had been knocked down were still rubble. The city gates that had been set on fire had not been replaced. The Jews in the city had no protection and were living in great trouble and disgrace. When Nehemiah heard these things, he sat down and wept. He wept for several days, and he fasted and prayed. He confessed his sin and the sin of his people, and he knew that God had promised that if his people turned back to him and obeyed him, then God would return them to their land. So Nehemiah asked God for an opportunity to speak to the king about the situation. Sometime later, Nehemiah was serving wine to the king, and when the king looked at him, he was so sad. So the king asked, "Why do you look so sad?" And Nehemiah replied, saying, "May the king live forever. Why should my face not look sad when Jerusalem lies in ruins and its gates have been destroyed by fire?" And the king asked Nehemiah, saying, "What is it that you want?" The king gave Nehemiah all he asked for, including royal letters of safe conduct and an armed escort. He was also given permission to take timber from the royal park to build new city gates. So Nehemiah set off on the long journey to Jerusalem. When he finally arrived, he rested for 3 days and did not tell anyone about his plans to rebuild the city walls. Then, accompanied by a few others, he set out one night to secretly inspect the walls. He started from the valley gate and headed towards the dung gate. The walls were in ruins and the gates were burned. And soon his way was blocked with rubble, and he had to detour around it to inspect the rest of the ruined walls. Then he called a meeting of the leaders and those who could not work. And he said, "You see the trouble we are in and the ruins. Come, let us rebuild the wall of Jerusalem so we will no longer be in disgrace." And Nehemiah also explained how God was with him and that he had the backing of the king too. The people heard everything and said, "Let us start rebuilding." And the work began at once. But there were enemies of the Jews who did not want the wall to be rebuilded. Sanballat the Horonite, Tobiah the Ammonite official, and Geshem the Arab mocked and ridiculed the workers. They said, "What is this you are doing?" They said, "What is this that you're doing?" And Nehemiah replied, saying, "Are you rebelling against the king? God will give us success, and we, his servants, will start rebuilding. But as for you, you have no share in Jerusalem or any claim to it." The end. And I hope you had fun learning the story of how Nehemiah rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem, part 1. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more Bible videos. Bye.